Bruchim Habayim, again, welcome to our home. Thank you for attending. This week, my thoughts will continue our in-depth examination of Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers, with the 8th and 9th Mishnayot in the second chapter. The 8th Mishnah begins by telling us that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai received the tradition from Hillel and Shammai. He would say, if you have learned much Torah, do not take credit for yourself, because for this you were created. This is not merely historical information. Pirkei Avot is teaching us that Torah is not simply knowledge. Torah is transmission. Torah is life flowing from soul to soul, from heart to heart, and from one generation to another generation. Hillel represents kindness, patience, humility, and love for every Jew. Shammai represented discipline, precision, truth, and uncompromising standards. Now, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai absorbed both approaches. He became the bridge that brought together these two opposites. The greatness of a Torah leader is not that he lives in one extreme. Greatness is the ability to contain opposites and harmonize them into the service of heaven. Sometimes a person must be soft, like Hillel. Sometimes a person must be exacting, like Shammai. At times one must embrace, at times one must rebuke. Wisdom is knowing which approach is needed at which time. The Morale of Prague explains that Torah itself contains many dimensions. There is kindness within truth and truth within kindness. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai became the vessel capable of carrying the full inheritance of Torah into one of the darkest periods of Jewish history. He lived during the destruction of the Second Temple. Jerusalem was burning. The Jewish world was collapsing around him. The holy Bet HaMikdash was about to be destroyed, and yet Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai understood something eternal, that from Yavne, that town, came the rebuilding of Judaism after the destruction. Prayer replaced sacrifices. Torah study became the heartbeat of the Jewish survival. Empires vanished. Rome faded. But the Torah of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai still lives on. This is the power of transmission. A sword can destroy a body. It cannot destroy eternity. Buildings can burn. Nations can fall. But Torah transmitted from teacher to student can never be destroyed. That is why he established the sages in Yavne, not armies, not politics, not religion. He built the Jewish future through Torah. The Roman Empire destroyed walls. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai rebuilt souls. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai states in the 8th Mishnah, if you have learned much Torah, do not take credit for yourself, because for this you were created. At first glance, these words seem difficult. Why should a person not feel accomplishment after years of study and growth? The answer is profound. The Mishnah is not denying the value of achievement. It is merely removing arrogance from that achievement. A violinist who plays beautifully should rejoice in the music, but if the violin itself could speak and say, look how magnificent I am, we would smile knowing that the beauty of the music came from the talents of the musician. A human being is an instrument in the hands of God. The soul was sent into this world with a mission. If a person learns Torah, grows, teaches, inspires, and elevates others, he should indeed rejoice. But he should not become arrogant. Why? Because this is why the soul descended into this world. The Holy Baal Shem Tov explains that pride blocks divine light. The fuller a person becomes with ego, the less room there remains for God Almighty. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. Humility is understanding that every talent one possesses is a gift entrusted to them by heaven. The Kosker Rebbe once said, God dwells wherever man lets him in. Arrogance locks the door. It is humility that opens it up. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was teaching his disciples that Torah is not a crown for self-glorification. Torah is a responsibility. The more Torah one learns, the more humble one should become. Because the more one learns, the more one realizes just how little he truly knows and how infinite God's wisdom truly is. The Ramban famously writes in his letter to his son that humility is the gateway to awe of heaven. A proud person worships himself. Only a humble person can worship God. The ninth Mishnah opens with the names of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's 5 primary students. The Mishnah does not merely list their names. It describes 5 different spiritual paths that each traveled. This is one of the most beautiful teachings in all of Pirkei Avot. They are Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Rabbi Yossi HaKohen, Rabbi Shimon ben Nisano, and Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch. He will count their praises. Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus is a plastered cistern that does not lose a drop. Rabbi Yeshua, fortunate is she who gave birth to him. Rabbi Yossi HaKohen is a pious man. Rabbi Shimon ben Nisano fears sin. And Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, who was like an ever-flowing spring. He used to say if all the sages of Israel were on one side of a scale, and Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus was on the other, he would outweigh them all. Abba Shaul said in his name that if all the sages of Israel were on one side of a scale together with Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus, and Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was on the other side, he would outweigh them all. You know, not every soul serves God in the same way. Not every student shines through the same qualities. The greatness of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was that he recognized the unique light that radiated within each of his students. A true teacher does not create clones. A true teacher nurtures and reveals individuality and holiness. Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus is compared to a plastered cistern that does not lose a drop. What an extraordinary description. Rabbi Eliezer possessed perfect retention. Every teaching entered his mind and remained there permanently. Nothing was forgotten. Nothing was ever lost. But there is a deeper meaning. Water in Torah symbolizes divine wisdom. Rabbi Eliezer became a vessel capable of preserving tradition with absolute precision. In times of spiritual confusion, preservation becomes holiness. Not every generation needs innovation. Some generations desperately need guardians. Rabbi Eliezer protected the purity of transmission. He represented loyalty to what was received. The Sfat Emes explains that there are souls whose mission it is to preserve the chain unchanged. They become guardians of memory. There is something deeply holy about refusing to distort what previous generations have handed us down. Today people often chase novelty. Torah world survives because some people still know how to preserve. A cistern quietly holds water for others. It does not advertise itself. It simply remains faithful. Rabbi Yeshua was praised with unusual words. Fortunate is she who gave birth to him. The commentaries ask, why is his mother praised rather than his scholarship? The Talmud Kedushin states that his mother would bring his cradle into the Bet HaMidrash, the study hall, so that even as an infant he would absorb words of Torah. This Mishnah teaches the immeasurable influence of a Jewish mother in harmony with one's environment. A child absorbs atmosphere long before understanding ideas. Holiness enters the soul through tone, warmth, consistency, and exposure. Rabbi Yeshua became great because Torah was not merely taught to him. Torah surrounded him and permeated his body and soul. There's another layer as well. The Mishnah honors the mother because greatness is never created alone. Behind many righteous people stand quiet sacrifices no one else sees. Mothers who pray, fathers who work, teachers who encourage, people who believe in someone long before they become and believe in themselves. The Mishnah teaches gratitude. No one becomes great alone. In Hasidic thought, the phrase, "fortunate is she who bore him," means that even his physical existence brought blessing into the world. Some souls radiate goodness simply through their presence. When Rabbi Yeshua entered a room, well, people felt elevated. Not because of his speeches, but because true holiness itself has a fragrance. Rabbi Yossi HaKohen is called a pious man. Hasidus teaches us that piety means living with constant awareness of God, not merely performing commandments mechanically, but with a warm heart, sensitivity, and devotion. Rabbi Yossi did not ask, "What must I do?" He asked, "What more can I do for God?" The Mesilas Yesharim explains that piety emerges from love. When a person loves someone deeply, he naturally seeks more ways to bring pleasure to his beloved. Thus, true piety is not fanaticism. It is love overflowing into action. Rabbi Yossi presents the Jew who serves God with refinement, gentleness, sensitivity, and care. Some people are remembered for their brilliance. Others are remembered because others felt safe in their presence. Piety softens the soul. The Zohar explains that acts of kindness create spiritual garments of light that surround the soul. A truly pious person has the ability to transform ordinary life into a holy sanctuary. Rav Shimon Sananel is described as one who fears sin. This does not mean neurotic fear. It means spiritual sensitivity. There are people who fear punishment, and there are other people who fear distance from God. Rav Shimon feared becoming spiritually disconnected. Imagine a musician terrified of damaging a priceless violin, not because of punishment, but because he treasures the instrument. The soul is infinitely more precious. Fear of sin means understanding the value of that soul. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that every action affects spiritual worlds. Nothing is insignificant. A word can heal. A word can destroy. A glance can uplift. A glance can degrade. A person who fears sin lives awake, conscious, and sensitive. Modern society often celebrates numbness. Torah celebrates sensitivity. The more spiritually refined a person becomes, the more delicate that consciousness becomes. This is not a weakness. It is true holiness. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch is compared to an ever-flowing spring, unlike Rabbi Elazar, who preserved tradition perfectly. Rabbi Elazar represented creative renewal. A spring constantly produces fresh water. Torah contains both dimensions, preservation and creativity, memory and innovation, faithfulness and discovery. Without preservation, Torah becomes distorted. Without creativity, Torah becomes lifeless. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch possessed living Torah. Ideas flowed from within him. Insights poured from his lips. The Maharal explains that a spring is connected to its source underground. His power comes from hidden connections. This is also true spiritually. The deepest creativity comes not from ego, but from the attachment to the divine source. Some people speak brilliantly, but produce emptiness. Others speak from souls connected to eternity. Their words revive people. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch had that power. The Mishnah concludes with a fascinating comparison. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says Rabbi Elazar outweighs all the sages of Israel. But Rabbi Shul said in his name that Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch outweighed them all, even together with Rabbi Elazar. So what is the argument? One opinion values preservation. The other values creative and spiritual vitality. Both are indispensable. Judaism survives through those who pressure the past and those who breathe life into the future. The Torah world without Rebbe Eliezer loses authenticity, and the Torah world without Rebbe Eliezer loses inspiration. The greatest communities contain both: strong roots and flowing water, memory and renewal, discipline and inspiration. This may also reflect two models of spiritual growth. Some souls become holy through consistency, others through inspiration. Some build carefully like a cistern, others overflow like a spring. God Almighty desires both. The 5 disciples may also represent 5 dimensions within every Jew. Inside each person there must be the discipline of Rebbe Eliezer, the goodness of Rebbe Yeshua, the kindness of Rebbe Yossi, the conscience of Rebbe Shimon, and the inspiration of Rebbe Eliezer. A complete Jew develops all 5. Sometimes life requires perseverance, sometimes compassion, sometimes discipline, sometimes caution, others creativity. Spiritual maturity means knowing which quality heaven asks from us at each moment. The Holy Baal Shem Tov taught that every Jew represents a unique letter in the Torah. If even one letter is missing, the whole Torah scroll is invalid. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai understood this profoundly. That is why he praised each student differently. He did not compare them, he revealed them. One of the greatest tragedies in life is when people spend their lives trying to become someone else. One soul preserves, another inspires, one teaches, another comforts. One leads publicly, while another quietly sustains others. The Mishnah teaches that holiness has many forms. The task is not to imitate another person. The task is to discover the unique mission God planted within each one's own soul. Bottom line, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai teaches us that greatness is not one-dimensional. A complete life requires humility, faithfulness, creativity, kindness, sensitivity, and discipline. He also teaches us that Torah is not information. Torah is transformation. The purpose of learning is not ego. The purpose of learning is refinement of the soul. And perhaps most importantly, this Mishnah teaches us that every soul has its own unique path in serving God. Some are cisterns, some are springs. Some preserve, some inspire. Some shine quietly, while others overflow publicly. But every Jew has a mission. Every Jew carries a unique light, and when that light is used in the service of heaven, the chain of Torah continues unbroken from Sinai up until today. I hope you found this lecture interesting and informative. May God Almighty bless you with the strength and the wisdom to follow the advice of the sages. Next week, God willing, we will continue with the beginning of the 10th Mishnah in chapter 2 of Pirkei Avot. Again, let us all continue to pray for a swift and complete victorious end to the war in the Middle East, with the total annihilation of Iran and all of her proxies. Let us celebrate the return of all our hostages, and may God Almighty cure the sick and injured, comfort all the mourners, and return home all the brave IDF soldiers led by Mashiach Tzidkeinu quickly. And in our time, let us say a prayer also for the American Army, as again fighting alongside of the Israelis in the Middle East. God shall bless and protect them all. Again, thank you for attending. God shall bless you with good. Again, be safe, be happy, be healthy. And again, please push the like button. If you haven't, please subscribe. And again, please share with your friends. Again, it's a world today where people are searching. And what they're searching for, even if they don't realize it, is not the pleasures of life. They're really searching for something that's real, that's tangible. Again, this is what we have here. God bless you and be well. Shabbat Shalom.